And you have my bow.
And my axe.
Henry, toots and huffs and puffs. James, there's fame but lots of fun. Gordon, thunders down the line. Thomas, he's the cheeky one.
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up, everyone? I'm the Kaiji no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network. Today I'm taking a look at Kamen Rider Den-O. Long before Tokuger, there was Kamen Rider Den-O. Den-O's inception can be traced back to series producer Shirakura, who was determined to create a hero children could truly relate to. Since young fans were too small to ride motorcycles, Shirakura sought a more accessible vehicle and settled on trains, instantly sparking a fresh and dynamic concept. The idea of time travel was woven into the narrative, not just for novelty, but to open up imaginative storytelling possibilities and raise the stakes by allowing the timeline to be altered. Unlike its predecessors, Den-O deliberately embraced a more lighthearted and comedic tone, with the aim of expanding the franchise's reach to younger viewers. This bold shift proved to be a masterstroke. Den-O became the breakout hit of the Heisei era's first half and remains so beloved that new content is still produced today. Initially, the creative team felt constrained by the unique limitations of a train-themed hero, but the introduction of a fairy tale motif breathed new life into the project. Renowned writer Yasuko Kobayashi, celebrated for her work on Ryuki, was brought on board to steer the series' narrative. The blend of whimsical motifs, time travel, and character-driven storytelling gave Den-O a distinctive identity and lasting appeal. Does Kamen Rider Den-O's lighter themes and heartfelt moments resonate, or does it derail itself? Watch to find out. The heroes! The heroes! In a surprising turn of events, there's only 2 riders to be found. Our lead hero is the unluckiest person alive, Ryotaro Nagami.
大丈夫ですか？すいません。
大丈夫です。
すいませんでした。
大丈夫。
すいませんでした。
大丈夫。
すいませんでした。
大丈夫。すいませんでした。
Misfortune follows him everywhere. Ryotaro is a timid boy trying to make the best of life while being unsure as to exactly what he wants to be when he grows up. He had recently graduated from high school and spends more of his free time helping his sister run the coffee shop their parents left behind when they died. Dead parents? Check. He often tries to avoid confrontation with others and has no confidence whenever he speaks, which admittedly gets on my nerves.
僕人質ですよね。こういう場合人質がお願い事したりしちゃいけないんでしょうけど。だからなんだ。姉さんが心配すると思うんで一本だけ電話を。I
really can't stand Ryotaro as a character because of his reticent nature. On the other hand, actor Takeru Sato is absolutely incredible. Throughout the course of the show, fantastical beings called Imagins befriend Ryotaro, often possessing him. Every Imagin has a distinct personality and style that Sato must emote, and he does so with utmost precision. Sato's acting between the group is fluid to the point where one would think he was actually seized by these creatures.
こういうの好きなんだよ。首突っ込ませろ。やっぱ相手になりそうなのはお前か？まさか彼のピアノを聴けなくなったのがこんな理由だったとは悲しすぎる。
そうでしょうね。
陽太郎、か？こういう自分より大きい相手の場合、懐に飛び込んでしまうのも一つの手や。
それ壊したのお前？
なんだ貴様は。
お前なんだ。じゃあ僕怒るよ。いい？
ガキの遊びに付き合ってる暇はない。
いいんだ。
全て
この私のためにあるのだから。居心地は最上だった。
Is it any wonder Sato's career took off after this, even doing Himuro Kenshin in the live-action Rurouni Kenshin movies? As much as I dislike Ryotaro, there is no denying how talented Sato was. Ryotaro does evolve over the series as he trains himself to be a good fighter for the times he cannot rely on his cohorts in battle. It's just that I do not like the character of Ryotaro in the slightest, and I honestly can't stand the demure voice he utilizes across the show's entirety.
すいません、ちょっと聞きたいことが。何？イマジンに怪物に何望んだか教えてもらえませんか？知ってるの？今あちこちで人が襲われてて。早く止めないとまた。
His Imagin partners include Momotaros, a hot-headed peach-looking demon based on the story of Momotaro.
俺がこんななのはお前のせいってわけだ。もっとかっこいいのあんだろ。
でももしかしたら桃太郎かも。小さい頃ヒーローだと思ってたし。
桃太郎？笑うな。
Urataros, a smooth-talking, womanizing turtle.
ついた人間が持ってるイメージの姿になるって聞いてたけど。
なんだよ。てめえ良太郎のセンスの悪さなめんな。
The bear-like warrior Kintaros.
桃の字、
なんだよ。
ここは俺に任せ。お前失敗してやないか。どすこい。どすこい。
りゅうちゃんも一緒に行くんですか？
泥棒退治なんか面白くないよ。
The childish dragon who loves to draw and dance, Ryutaros.
バカ！バカバカ！スケベ！金槌！はい！スケベはこの亀だよ！
And occasionally, the self-centered swan prince from Swan Lake, Sieg.
我が名はジーク。呼ぶときは気軽にプリンスで構わん。
Imagins are beings from a possible future who travel back in time to the present day. They hold no physical form, relying on the imagination of the person they possess to give them one, which is why they end up looking like monsters. Their goal is to make someone's wish come true to obtain a physical form.
お前の望みを言え。どんな望みも叶えてやろう。
The lead quartet often argue with each other and initially hate one another, but they eventually find themselves to be a family and will do whatever it takes to keep Ryotaro and his loved ones safe from danger. All of these are voiced by notable anime actors. Momotaros is Toshihiko Seki, who most fans will recognize as Duo Maxwell in Gundam Wing.
最初に会った時よ、奴がねぐら教えてったんだよ。おい良太郎、右のケツのポケットだ。
He's also La Crusade in Gundam Seed, Muzan in Demon Slayer, the Sailor Uniform in Kill la Kill, and is currently Cosmo Gavarian in Gavon Infinity.
なんで犬が？
チワワかな。
そんな感想はいいんだよ。どけ、あっち行け。
Koji Yusa voices Urataras and has been involved with Toku for decades. One of his most recent achievements was being World Spinder in Boom Boom Jer. He's done dubbing for Power Rangers, being the Japanese voice of Elgar, on top of being in Boogie Pop Phantom, Full Metal Panic, Dr. Stone, Utano Prince, various Gundam shows, a couple of Transformer series, and so on.
ああ、そういえば昨日から時々良太郎が僕たちを締め出すよね。それってそういうことだったりして。
If you have watched either Kamen Rider Black or Soul Brain, you will be familiar with Kintaro's Masaki Terasoma, as he was Shadow Moon and Takaoka on those.
のぞみや、何でも聞いたる。
どうして急に？
契約完了したら俺はお前から降りられる。降りとなったんや。他の奴らと一緒では狭すぎる。
Anyone who has watched Gojujur had recently heard Kenichi Suzumura, Ryutaras, as he portrayed Lex. He too can be heard in a variety of Gundam series, Utano Prince, and was Kamui in X along with Vidan in The Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer.
ねえねえねえねえ。でも一番は僕のおかげだよね。だってこの絵描いたの僕なんだから。イエイ。
Finally, Sieg is played by Shinichiro Miki, who is Roy Mustang in Fullmetal Alchemist, Lock-On in Gundam 00, Zamasu in Dragon Ball Super, and Alan Shazar in Escaflowne.
当然だ。やはり世界は私のために回っていたな、姫。名残惜しいが。
They all hang out together in the snack car on the time-traveling train called the Den-Liner.
ナオミちゃん、僕は一人で入りたいかな。金ちゃんの歌はうるさいし、先輩は泳ぎの練習しちゃうしさ。
このカメ、てめえこそ一緒に入んじゃねえ。おめえの体から出汁が出てんだよ、出汁が。
While there are occasionally other passengers aboard, it's typically the Imagins, the snack car server Naomi, played by Kamen Rider Agito's Rina Akiyama, a woman from a lost future named Hana, and the Den-Liner's owner. Naomi loves to serve coffee to her guests while having no qualms about starting a fight if it amuses her.
桃太郎対浦島太郎だ。
痛いな。
問題は良太郎ちゃんが誰を残すかってことですよね。
ちょっと待てこら。問題はもうそこかよ。
そうですよ。役に立つ人が残るのかな。
食えねえのはてめえだこの野郎。てめえのスケベが役に立ったことあんのか。寝たきゃ時の砂漠で冬眠でもしてろ。
The production crew also gave us some interesting shots of Naomi.
全部台無しじゃないかよ。
お前がワンちゃんなんかにビビるからあかんのや。
そうだ、どっちもどっちでしょ。二人とも頭に海水詰まってんじゃないの。
うるせえドスケベがめ。
Hana is a sole survivor of a timeline that was destroyed, making her known as a singularity point, which is what everyone also believes Ryotaro to be.
ちょっと全員聞いて。良太郎がまた倒れたのは知ってるでしょ。あんたたちが4体もついてるせいで良太郎ボロボロなの。
Hana has fought the Imagins before and resents Ryotaro's openness to befriending Momotaro's and gang. She does eventually find camaraderie with them, but it does take a while. Hana may be my favorite character across the entire show. Her mysterious backstory is intriguing, she is always willing and able to fight, and she isn't some happy-go-lucky bouncy girl. There is one episode where she is trying to sell some products to help out someone and her serious demeanor scares customers until Naomi comes to assist.
ダメですよ。いくらお面をつけてても中身がこんな顔してちゃ一つも売れませんよ。いらっしゃいませ。七夕のお菓子セットですよ。いかがですか。いらっしゃいませ。七夕お菓子セットいかがでしょうか。
It's a nice change of pace that also makes her the exact opposite of Ryotaro. Unfortunately, actress Yuriko Shiratori became sick halfway through the show and had to depart production. In response to this, they decided to de-age Hana into a child and play it off as if some event happened in the time stream to cause this to occur. Shiratori was then replaced by Tamaki Matsumoto, who became nicknamed Kohana.
良太郎から離れなさい。
なんだ。
This aspect came across a bit haphazard as it seemed like the show was developing Ryotaro and Hana into a relationship that they immediately had to put the brakes on for obvious reasons. Nevertheless, Kohana still ended up being the best character with what may be my favorite scene in the entire series.
あんたはもう女の子見るだけで犯罪だわ。
釣られるのは趣味じゃないんだけどな。
うるさい。
At least until the movies. The Den-Liner owner is a weird dude. He's very laid back as long as you don't break the rules and has this odd custom of eating omelette rice until the flag Naomi sticks in it falls over.
新記録だと思ったのに。じゃあまた。
It turns out this is because he has an ongoing competition with his boss, the station manager, with the rules being the loser is the one who causes the flag to fall over.
この無限の米粒に支えられた一本の旗を制する瞬間、時の真実にまた一歩近づき続けませんか。
Both are played by Kenjiro Ishimaru.
駅長ってキングライナーの駅長ですよ。じゃなくてオーナーさんとそっくりだけど。
気のせいです。
Besides them, there is Ryotaro's sister Airi and two suitors who wish to be Airi's lovers named Mira and Ozaki.
わざわざありがとうございます。ご迷惑おかけしました。
良太郎くん、どうかしたんですか？
ちょっと事故に遭っちゃったんですって。
それ大変だ。すぐ行かないと。
大丈夫ですよ。今の感じは検査入院で1泊です。
They have no chance for Airi's affection as she was bound to be married in the near future. Of course, she doesn't know this either as shortly before the series kicked off, she lost her memory of her fiancé as he mysteriously disappeared. Only Ryotaro seems to remember who he was, an astronomy lover named Yuto Sakurai.
桜井さんがいなくなったのは姉さんとの結婚式の1ヶ月前で、それでも姉さんは大丈夫って笑って、いつも通り僕の弁当を作って大丈夫なはずなんかなかった。ものすごく大事なこと。でも僕が説明しても意味ないんだ。姉さんが思い出さないと。
Airi spends most of the series oblivious to anything that goes on around her. She fully supports Ryotaro and that's all she really does. She will occasionally start to remember something only to forget it, which can get annoying as it makes her plot feel like it goes nowhere. While we do ultimately learn about what occurred, it hardly fixes the issues revolving around it and leaves confusion by the end. I will say Ozaki and Mira are absolutely worthless as their only purpose is to be some truly dumb comic relief. They do nothing relevant all series long.
このまま研究を続けて、いつか必ず良太郎くんを。
三浦君、男をオカルトで理解しようとしても無駄だよ。
If you eliminate them from the show entirely, nothing would change at all.
あれは僕が小学校1年生の時のことだ。ある日、担任のみゆき先生の目の前でおもらしをしてしまった。
TMI Ozaki, TMI. They're not even good at protecting Airi when a monster targets her.
何するんですか？
いいからお姉ちゃん一緒に来い。
話して。
俺と同じ目に遭ってもらわねえとな。
Wakana Matsumoto portrays Airi. Ryotaro transforms into Kamen Rider Den-O by swiping a train pass across his henshin belt. This gives him a base form that is enhanced when he is possessed by an Imagin. Each Imagin form has its own skill set, with Momotaro's utilizing a sword, Urataro's focuses on long-range attacks through a fishing rod, Kintaro's is an axe, Ryotaro's a gun, while Sieg is... well, Sieg exists. This concept is a neat way of featuring several different riders without exactly featuring several different riders. Ryotaro's is my favorite of the forms, which makes sense because he's my favorite of the Imagins and happens to be my favorite color. Ryotaro's job as Den-O is to stop Imagins from fulfilling its host's wish and traveling back in time, something he fails at spectacularly. Therefore, he will hop onto the Den liner to go back in time to whatever date that Imagin has entered. Halfway through the series, Ryotaro obtains a couple of upgrade forms. The first synchronizes the Imagins together in one pass, showcasing all 4 Imagins on a different part of Ryotaro's body. Later, the Imagins are unable to connect with Ryotaro while in the past, requiring Ryotaro to come up with a solution that allows the quartet to work with him through a new sword. The secondary rider to the series is Yuto Sakurai.
変身
Wait, isn't that Airi's fiance's name? Yes, actually it is. However, this Yuto is a decade younger than the one Ryotaro and Airi knew. Yuto is teamed up with an Imagin named Den-O, and together they traverse through time on a prototype train that was thought to be lost called the Zero Liner.
Nogami 時の運行を守るっていうのは人助けとは違うんだよ。
ゼロノスの変身カードを持っておそらくユウト君は十数年前の若い頃の桜井さんだと。
Den-O loves to give out candy, which we come to learn he poops out?
本当なのか
Good night, everybody.
Kamen Rider Hibiki fans may recognize Yuichi Nakamura, as he was Kiryu there and would go on to be Gao Red in Gojuger and the main villain of the Ultraman Trigger movie.
人の心を勝手に妄想すんなって言っただろ。
でもユウトは友達いないし。
お前ちょっといいから来い。野上
Hochu Otsuka voices Den-O, who was Signal Man and Power Ranger, the narrator of Gaim, and is also the official dub voice for Gary Oldman and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
ユウトが悪い。ごめん。俺は知ってる。ユウトは本当は意地悪な人間じゃない。心の中ではお前たちと友達になりたいと思ってる。
Yuto's character arc is quite tragic because it is revealed that every time he uses one of his cards to transform, someone forgets he exists. This eventually causes his rider form to rust over. Den-O can also combine with him to create a more powerful form. I can't say I really care for Yuto all that much. Nakamura hasn't grown much as an actor between Hibiki and this, which is really prevalent at times when he is supposed to be possessed by Den-O. He's also not a very fun guy.
お前このつくねの中にシートが入れたろ。
バレた？
バレたじゃねえ。絶対入れるなっつったら。
I do like the colors of his original suit, as I really like the shade of green used against the black and silver. Character-wise, I just didn't care about him. Wait, who are we talking about again? The villains. The villains. The Imagins are probably some of the weakest villains to appear in the Heisei era of Kamen Rider. Part of this aspect stems from the having no true direction. All they do is attach to some random victim of the week and try to fulfill their wish so they can go back to the past to wreak havoc. However, the moment they are defeated, everything is restored back to normal and anyone that was killed by the Imagin is returned to normal as if nothing happened, unless there is no one around to remember them. Even then, if there is someone who no one remembers, they simply hitch a ride on the train until that happens, also nulling the stakes.
時間からこぼれ落ちちゃった人はいつか誰かが記憶を取り戻すまで旅をするんです。
そっか。
I think there was only one time where an Imagin actually killed someone, which was in the second episode. The greatest compliment I can give the Imagins is in their designs, because those are superb looking. My favorite may be the snowman one.
Frosty the snowman was a jolly happy soul.
It's also fun watching an Imagin who is bored go crazy. One thing I do dislike is how they use Zet Trooper suits for their Imagin foot soldiers towards the end. It is revealed that the Imagins have a boss and that there is an actual objective to the Imagins going back in time. Their goal is to hunt down the older Yuto Sakurai, who is running around time and space to avoid them. Killing him will allow Kai to take over the time stream. Kai is a pretty uninspiring main villain. He annoyingly laughs all the time and often asks if his face reflects his emotion. Part of this could be the writing, but it could also be Hideo Ishiguro's naivete, as Den-O was one of his earliest roles as an actor. Either way, his performance is so bad here I did not realize he was Guy Kuranai, Ultraman Or, before doing this review. And that's all I have to say about this guy. He does nothing because he accomplishes nothing. The effects and music. The effects and music. The soundtrack is one of the best aspects of the series, while the effects take a hit because of some truly bad CGI. Sometimes Imagins will mutate into giant monsters that have to fight the Den-liner and Zero-liner in some truly bad looking CGI battle. They're not great and they stick out like a sore thumb. Some green screen bits are quite horrid.
店内の友達スピードで
There are a handful of solid fights despite not having the most prolific camera work at the time. One thing I will praise the production team for is when it comes to weather. They apparently researched what the weather was like on any of the days in the past featured to ensure they could film the scene in matching weather to give it an authentic flavor. Learning this took me by surprise, and for all of my complaints, I can't say they were lazy in the slightest and applauded their attention to detail. Shuhei Naruse composed Den-O's soundtrack, and his music here is just as good as it would be for Kiva and Forze.
ちょっと遊ばねえか。なんだ貴様は。ねえぞ。
亮太郎、本 当にバカ者抜きで戦うつもり？
僕のことはいいから早く帰れ。
電王か。聞いていた姿とは違うか。
じゃあ倒すね。
ユウト、それはユウト、せめて大根だけでも。あ、痛い。
ああ、そうか。
どうかしたのか。
やられたよ。あれに桜優斗にさ。
There's also a piece of music that sounds like it was ripped right out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
正直バカの置物だと思ってて悪かったな。金子、おめえもただのスケベ亀じゃなかったんだな。ほら嬉しいよ。
AAA performed the opening theme, Climax Jump, which is a solid opening once you get past the beginning slow bits. Although, I do prefer the Den-Liner remix version that is heard in episodes 40 plus. The episodes. Den-O's not exactly a bad show, it's just boring. Up to this point, Kamen Rider felt like a show that was geared towards an older audience. Monsters would kill people without hesitation, raising the stakes. Plots were serious and sometimes dark, as we saw with the likes of Oja and Ryuki and everything that went down in Blade and Kabuto. Here, they really amped up the comedy to the point where I feel like I'm watching a live-action anime. Some of the situations Ryotaro gets into due to his bad luck comes across very cartoony. This scene right here feels like it came out of an episode of Animaniacs. I think my biggest complaint, beyond the repetitive nature of the series, is how situations are not taken seriously. My least favorite episodes are the two-parter Bath Jack Panic and Lucky Star, Lawbreakers Surrender. In this lot, a fugitive bumps into Ryotaro and takes him hostage in a bathhouse. The wanted man ties him and the bathhouse employee up to hide from the cops. Ryotaro convinces the robber to call Irie to tell him he is okay despite being a hostage, and she doesn't react to anything in the slightest.
はい、ミルクディッパーです。
強盗です。
え、りょうちゃんが。
実は
ご丁寧にどうもありがとうございます。人質になったんですって。
アリさん、落ち着いてる場合じゃ。
あ、そうですよね。差し入れ作らなきゃ。
She must be on the greatest medication in the history of mankind. And Imagin emerges, so Hana comes into the bathhouse to switch places with Ryotaro while he deals with that.
あいつはどこ行った？
余計なことは気にしないの。人質なら私がなってあげるから。
なんだお前、どっから入ってきた？
私じゃ不足だとでも言うの？
Ryotaro returns to the bathhouse afterwards, and then more drama occurs.
ただいま。
ただいまじゃないでしょ。なんでわざわざ戻ってくるの？
だって花さんもいるし、一人だけ逃げるわけにもいかないし。
Irie eventually shows up to make everyone food, and they all eat together.
準備できましたよ。さあどうぞ。
いただきます。
What the fuck? Miura and Ozaki eventually turn up and join in on the fun? These episodes are just disgraceful. In Ryuki, there was a hostage situation, it was taken seriously. Here, we don't get that luxury. And a few episodes before this featured a 12-year-old girl being sexualized. Seriously, what the fuck? Finally, between both of those pairs comes my favorite duo of the series, which introduced Ryotaro. Those were titled K Can't Hear You and Dance with the Dragon. Ryotaro is sent to kill Ryotaro and ends up trying out for the Kamen Rider Gaim auditions instead. He becomes infatuated with Irie and chills out.
お姉ちゃんだ。良太郎死んだら お姉ちゃん泣く？
ああ、もう絶対言うね。
そっか。じゃあ良太郎殺さない。
What makes these episodes great is how much energy Ryotaro brings into the show. Before this lot, I was utterly bored with everything happening. The show just lacked the energy I needed for it to hold my attention. With Ryotaro, fun was introduced and he made the show a joy to watch when he was on screen.
それにね、良太郎やっつけたら時の列車の車掌にしてくれるって。いいよね、車掌。
車掌？
His ability to just randomly control people into breakdancing with him is hilarious.
面白い。それくれる？いいよね。
何今の？君人を操れるの？
And I will say this ability did make for a great sequence towards the end of the series after Kai was introduced.
答えは聞いてない。
I love how Ryotaro is mad that Kai turned his own team against him. The movies and specials. The movies and specials. Den-O has a lot of movies and specials. Oh my god, help me. During the early 20s, we started to see these weird sequences of Ryotaro that seemed to have nothing to do with the episodes themselves. We eventually come to learn those sequences lead into the events of the summer movie, which takes place between episodes 27 and 28. It's odd that the movie is set between one story arc, but okay. Taiga Seijima is mad he is Gao, not Garo, and hijacks the Denliner.
デンライナーはもらったぜ。
君誰？
俺はガオだ。
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
Yuto travels across various time periods and drops off a different version of Ryotaro so they can have the ultimate crossover against Gao and his Mortal Kombat ninja crew of Ermac, Rain, Reptile, and Wulai.
上等だ。食えるもんなら食ってみな。
Gao has his own rider form. And we get some damn good camera work. It's an okay movie that has some good moments, though it could have been about 10 minutes shorter. The next film, taking place after the series, is a crossover with Kiva. For some reason, the Denliner crew are acting like cops and take down an Imagin and Fangire that are working together.
You look like a deranged Easter bunny.
Apparently, Mira, Ozaki, and Irene know about Ryotaro working for the Denliner cops as they come to visit the office, which is huge despite being a train car.
これは取り込み中みたいですね。
良太郎君についてたクレはこれだったんだ。
大スクープだ。
The main villain of the film is an evil version of Momotaro's who wants to use the Denliner to commit time heists or something, and teams up with some gangsters.
Imagin とファンガイアだらけだ。
焦るなよ。まだこれからだ。俺様は誰も作ったことのねえ究極の悪の組織ってやつをぶち上げ、
まるでどっかのヒーローもんだな。
バカ野郎。
We get some cool fights. What may be the coolest looking Imagin ever and Kohana steals the show. Oh yeah, and Wataru shows up to give the Den-O characters the location needed to move the plot along.
あ、そういえば悪の組織ってあれかも。ニスの材料を集めに行ったビルの。え?
For being a Kiva Den-O crossover, Kiva's barely in it. Following that comes the final countdown, which introduces us to Ryotaro's grandson Kotaro and his Imagin buddy Teddy.
俺はじいちゃんとは違うの。体力だってあるし。強いしね。聞いてるよじいちゃん。めちゃくちゃ弱かったって。
もうカウントはいらないな。
ゼロになってからが本当の戦いなんだ。変身。ストライク。
In this one, an evil Den-O is working with Shiro and Sora, who control a ghost train they are using to resurrect themselves. Shiro is played by Yuki Matsumura, who has been acting since the 80s and would go on to play a character in Garo Goatstorm's show.
3、2、1、0。
Sayaka Kanda is Sora. Kanda was the Japanese dub voice of Anna in Frozen and was featured in movies like Dragon Head and School Wars before sadly killing herself in 2021.
400年よ。あなたは死んだ私を思い続けて、死者の列車に乗って。でも疲れたの。
As for Kotaro, he is played by Dori Sakurada, while Daisuke Ono is Teddy.
俺とテディでやるっつったろ。
何？
俺やじいちゃんみたいにゾロゾロ引き連れたりしないよ。
孝太郎ちゃんはおじいちゃんのこと嫌いなんですか？
別に。
金をいただきた。感謝している。またはせえへんで。
あれだけ大きな口を叩いていた孝太郎だ。責められて当然なのに。
They travel to 1729 Japan because apparently interrupting some elephant parade will help them achieve their goal. It was an improvement over the Kiva crossover film, but still borderline boring. Teddy and Kotaro aren't really all that interesting to watch, and Kotaro's arrogance did get annoying.
かっこ悪い。
お前な。
それにセンスも最悪。このイメージとか。桃太郎って名前もじいちゃんが考えたんだろ。ギャグ
？There was an interesting horse chase. The next film on the list is Cho, Kamen Rider Den-O and Decade New Generations, the Onigashima Warship, which sees Ryotaro being reverted to a little kid because by that point, Sato was too important to deal with a children's television series.
電ライナーのチケット。
電ライナー？
時間の中を走る列車。過去や未来に行く。僕たちはそれに乗ってる。時間の数字が揃った時。
The plot revolves around two demons who have been separated by time, and Kotaro rescues a boy in the 1980s from some of the demons. The group discovers the Imagins were sent to 1500s Japan and head there to retrieve them.
あんたたち早く電ライナーに乗って。
おい、花ちゃん。
The Denliner gets hijacked again.
Come on!
God! There's some great music. An exclusive form. Decadent DN make cameo appearances.
あっちこっちの世界に首突っ込んでるっていう。ああ、その通り。お前は面白そうだね。じゃ楽しんでくれ。
And the Imagins get to switch things up for a bit. I will say this is probably my favorite of the movies. The film didn't drag on and had enough going on to keep things interesting. Plus, I really did like the demon warship, despite liking the ghost train in the last film as well. The popularity of the decade Den-O movie allowed for another trilogy of films to occur, simply titled Red, Blue, and Yellow. Now you might think the colors indicate that each film is going to be about Momotaros, Urataros, and Kintaros, but you would be wrong. They're color-coded because I guess that sounded cool. The first one revolves around a guy obsessed with Irie and trying to come to her rescue to make her fall in love with him by teaming up with the Imagin Ganondorf.
てめえトロすぎるんだよもたもたしやがって違うよ鈍いんだよ鈍ち望んだのはてめえじゃねえかあの女のピンチを助けて気を引きたいってよ
There are issues with the Den-liner, because of course there are. Ryotaro is still a child and everyone back at his home acts normal about it.
頑張るのはいいけど、まずは元気をつけなきゃ。元のように大きくなれないわよ。
ありがとう、姉さん。
Blue centers on Kotaro and Teddy. Apparently, Kotaro never realized he had bad luck as Teddy kept protecting him. Regretfully, the owner pulls Teddy away from him and Kotaro tries his best to use his granddad's Imagins to little success. A young girl blows off celebrating her birthday with her grandmother when a doppelganger shows up thanks to Horabel.
あら、忘れ物？
やっぱりやめた。今日は
お財布忘れちゃった。誰？出るじゃねえか！
The final film in the trilogy, Yellow, is more of a DN movie than a Den-O one. DN steals the Den-liner. Again? Seriously, this is the easiest train ever to take. They are confronted by a time police agent named Reiji who works with an AI Imagin and arrests them all for breaking the laws of time.
未来から来た自分が過去の自分を消すことはできない。
俺が過去に遡っても俺を捨てた母親を消し去ることができないのと同じだ。変身。
Even the owner finds himself in trouble.
オーナーは電王がたびたび過去を変えるのを見逃していた。またこの犯罪者のジャックを報告しなかった。
犯罪を手助けしたも同然だ。時間警察はどんな小さな犯罪も許さない。
逮捕だ。 何やってんの？
The AI Imagin reveals his true goal, and DN gets an upgrade form.
Shifu, Yuga, Oga, Glade, Kabuki, Tokusatsu, Arc, Scout, Final Kamen Rider.
As a whole, I found the trilogy to be as boring as the other movies, but I will give some pointers to Blue in being the best of the three as it had some truly great moments. The music is good, but by this point I was ready to be done with Den-O. Unfortunately, there's still one more adventure. Pretty Den-O. Pretty Den-O is actually a short 20-minute adventure of a little girl named Anna living in 2019 being taken by Shocker to 1989 because she apparently has some winning lottery ticket Shocker wants to use to buy land that will go towards a base in the future. Anna encounters a young girl, and they compare notes of life between the first year of the Heisei era to the Reiwa era.
今何年？平成元年、令和2年。あれ？令和？何それ？平成の次だけど？2020年。
Shocker manages to you guessed it, hijack the Den-liner.
ようこそ時の列車デンライナー。
And a battle ensues, requiring Shocker to call on the big gun.
最強の助っ人がついている。ショッカーと手を組んだクライシス帝国最強の兵士ジャンプ様。
Anna then becomes Den-O to fight the Shocker goons. Obviously, everything ends up being tied up in a nice little bow by the conclusion, but I did like the post-credit scene with Black RX back in 1989.
Crisis! どうだ?
Den-O was a chore to sit through. It's just way too cartoony for its own good, which is quite jarring due to all the shows that preceded it. As such, I am going to give Kamen Rider Den-O a meh 2 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. It's not unwatchable, as it's certainly better than some of the series we have gotten in the last decade, but I hope I never have to watch this one again. Until next time, bye.
And my axe